Welcome to Tush Twins on MalcolmPresents.com and other venues, which we shall not enumerate right now. But we only have one cheek today because the other cheek is on vacation with her husband, just
Right.
because it's his birthday.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. You're entitled to go on vacation now and then.
Not when you have to do a show, I'm sorry.
Well, it's all the big bucks we're bringing in here, kid. So yeah, we can take off time whenever we want, except you, the boss man, you use the whip, I tell you. So anyway, I'm wearing a Mets hat. I just took a flying leap in my backyard and I'm completely scraped up. So I have different Band-Aid, I have Best Tracing, I have peroxide, I have ice on my ice.
Nice.
Except
Well, the benefit is you have a in-house doctor.
Right, and I went in to get the ice pack, and it's Dr. L. Rubin. That's my husband's ice pack. See, he's never far. This is going to be fun tomorrow. Oh well, it's a scrape, like you used to get scraped when you fell off the monkey bars in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, but it's
Whatever.
nothing like when you play basketball on concrete.
Right,
Like
and
schoolyard.
right, and you
And your
then you were like Teflon. You bounced right up, and you
Yeah, you
still
bounce up. You got this big scrape on your knee, and you put some
Right.
sort of antiseptic on, and you continued.
Yep. Well, so I put some stuff on it. I put it up for 10 minutes. I put ice on it. Who knows what's going to happen? But today I didn't do the intro of the Tush twins because Tush one is not here, and Malcolm is the Tush of the day here. So we'll
Thanks.
go. We the
We're-
Tush
and-
twins talk about our friendships from long ago, and Malcolm is kind of like a big bro to me almost right now. So we keep it all in the family, right?
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about long ago, and both of us were baseball fans.
Absolutely. I was a big baseball fan. My rock and roll house would also be a sports place, and the brothers and the dad loved the Dodgers, which was kind of before me for the most part. They had left Brooklyn by the time I
56.
was a big fan, but
No,
I mean,
58. I think they,
Right.
57 or 58, they left.
right. I didn't, I mean, you know more because you were there, but I was pretty young, like 3 or something.
No, I would have to talk to your brothers, except they're no longer around, but
Well,
they.
you can go, hey, what's going on? So
Mitch and Phil.
Phil, my mom told me, cried for months when the Dodgers left.
I did.
He cried for months. And not being really, Brooklyn folks weren't majorly Yankee fans. They were Brooklyn Dodger fans.
No, Brooklyn Dodger fans hated the New York Yankees.
Right. And then there were
With
the
a passion.
Giants and the New York Giants
And the New
too.
York Giants.
Right. So
And we still haven't decided whether it was, and we always thought that Duke Snyder was a better center fielder than Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays.
right. Well, at this point, we have Willie still around, right?
Willie's still around.
How old is Willie now? Wow, he must be way up there.
So
So
he must be in his mid to late 80s.
probably that was the Say Hey kid, right?
They hate kid.
The Say Hey kid. So I grew up a Mets fan and continue to be a Mets fan. And it's not easy being a Mets fan, but back in the day, my uncle would sometimes take me to baseball games, especially when it was the World's Fair, because the World's Fair and Shea Stadium were near each other, and they
Yeah.
kind of shared the parking lot, or were right near each other. Right, and right. So I went to a game that Don Drysdale pitched in 1964. And with Google, I was able to check when that was. And it was July 29th, so not far from where we are, 1964. Don Drysdale, I was at this game. The Mets lost brutally. He whipped them. It was 9-0 at Shea Stadium. He pitched a 7-hitter no seven, died seven hitter, a seven hitter, I guess.
Okay,
And there were 39,500 spectators, and I was there with my uncle and my cousin. And Drysdale was an amazing pitcher. And of course, Sandy Koufax, I mean, the man. And I remember, and I was telling you earlier that I saw Maury Wills, who was the leadoff batter and the shortstop, play, I mean, steal second, third, and home.
yeah, well, that's what he was known for, the stealing
He-
bases.
I don't recall seeing that anytime in this last decades. Have you seen a player, or was it reported that a player has stolen second, third, and home?
In one game,
In no, in one game it was,
in one game,
not only was it one game, it was at one inning.
one inning. Oh, he did it in the same inning.
He did it in the same inning. Yes. I've never seen that ever again repeated. I just have never seen it. And so anyway, the Mets lost, and I was a big fan, and I was in, actually, I don't know what year of the yearbook I was in, but I'm actually, my picture is in one of the yearbooks. If I can get some of the yearbooks from when they started, which was it 61 or 2 or something like that,
Yeah.
I would need to look at like a number of years worth, and my picture's in there because I was a big fan, and I went to Fan Day to see Ed Kranepool, who played first base. He was my favorite player, and my dad would call him D. Lupinart, which is his name backwards, because my father used to tell his people's names backwards. That was a thing he did. So I was, yeah, I was a Mets fan,
I
and
think they
still
called him,
am.
he was the first baseman, and they called him Kid Kranepool. Because
Yeah.
I think I don't know if he came to the Mets right out of high school or a year after, but he played first base for James Monroe High School in the Bronx. So he
Right,
was like a local kid. I mean,
right.
literally.
So yeah, so who else was local? It was Koufax was
Well,
big. I mean,
Koufax was he was the pride of the Jews. He was
like the Jews.
he went to Lafayette High School in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I think he went to University of Cincinnati, and
Really?
he also played basketball.
Wow.
But
But,
when he got out of college, he was given it was a bonus baby for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
okay.
I think he made something like a whole.
No.
I think it was under $30,000 as a bonus.
Wow. Well,
But
I
the
don't know.
big thing, the big thing was as a bonus baby, I don't think they could have put him down to the minor leagues for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, it was some stipulation like that.
Really?
So,
Huh.
and he had no control. He was wild. I mean, he could pitch the ball 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
but sometimes he didn't know where it went.
Yeah. Well, that changed. He
Yeah, it
became one of
changed.
the most premier pitchers in all of baseball
Yeah,
history.
well, they say it's he might be like #1, even though I think he only played like 10, 12 years.
Mhm.
Why? Because he has arthritic shoulder.
Right. Well,
And
you can
then
see how that can happen, but it's I used to just love it. I mean, I went to games with my dad, and it was so much fun. We went to the game where the Cincinnati Reds, it was a playoff game with the Mets, and that was the famous game that what's his name, the guy with the streak beat
Good
up
old-
Bud Harrelson, who was on the Cincinnati Reds. He was a gambler. Why is his name
Pete
eluding
Rose.
me? Pete Rose. Pete Rose beat up Bud Harrelson. Literally, he was like punching him, and the fans went nuts. And he was out in, I forgot what position, in outfield. People,
He played any position. I think after
he
a while,
was-
he played outfield.
he was in, I think he was in the outfield because the Mets fans in the outfield were throwing things at him, and they had to stop the game. And Mets players came out, they walked out to the fans and were pleading with them because they were going to have to forfeit the game. That's how bad it was. And Willie Mays came out because he was, I think, coaching or something then. I don't know if he was player coach. I don't know. Tom Seaver, Kuzman, they came out and they were saying, you got to stop this. And Harrelson was okay. And he goes, you got to stop this. And I thought, we thought that they would forfeit. We thought we would be going home, but they eventually got the crowd to stop, but they wanted his head on a platter, and that lasted a really long time. So, but that was, that was then. I mean, now you're a Dodger fan in LA. It's all, and they're one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. So they're now pure Angelinos,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
they,
they've been in Los Angeles longer than they've been in Brooklyn,
sure, absolutely.
more years.
Right, but
For some
it's
reason, I cannot, in fact, any of the sports, they're no longer games.
no longer
They're
games.
no longer games because they're businesses.
Well, yeah, they are big business and they're spending a lot of money on players.
Right, when you get a baseball, and back in the days when I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan,
Mhm,
the top ball players would have jobs the off season. They would have jobs as salespeople for a car dealership or people in the bank.
mhm,
They had to work, they got minimum amount of money. As a matter of fact, the
sure.
big thing was back when they were in Los Angeles, Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax for contract negotiations together, and both of them wanted $100,000 apiece.
Hmm.
And Walter O'Malley says, "You got to be kidding!" And they sent an agent in. What? And the O'Malley says, "I wouldn't deal with agents. I'll deal directly with you."
Mhm.
I think they didn't get $100,000, but now these guys are getting $100,000 per game.
I don't even know what Alex Rodriguez got at bat for one at bat. He was getting like,
I think for a 10-year contract, which was unheard of then, $400,000, 400 million.
100 million. I mean, I don't know the exact amounts, but he certainly got paid a hell of a lot of dough for
And
hitting a
today's
little
day,
round boy.
between baseball players and especially, I think, basketball players more. They're
Right.
getting minimum contracts, I think, 50-60 million dollars
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
year.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not forsaking anything they make because that's the way it
Oh,
is
yeah,
right now. But it is a hell of a lot of money to throw a baseball or basketball around. It's
Right.
just
Ultimately, they bring the money in,
right.
and
So
the owners. I don't cry for the owners,
neither do I. There's no
and
way.
the new owners are billionaires.
Yes.
Uh,
So
and the players are, have the Nike sponsorships or whatever sponsorships they have. So the salary is, the least they make.
well, I was looking at this article of the game I was at, that game Drysdale pitched against the Mets in 1964.
Yeah.
And the article was really interesting because it says, I just got to read this. It says, genealogically speaking, the Mets were offsprings of the Dodgers and New York Giants, since the new club owes its existence to the fact that the old clubs ran off together to California. Spiritually, the Mets certainly qualify as descendants of the older Dodgers, whose ineptness and many zany antics earned them the title of Daffinus Boys. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah.
The Daffinus Boys.
Or dem bum, dem bums.
Dem bums. It says physically, the Mets have always been composed of many former Dodgers of various ages, from Casey Stengel on down. And in old-fashioned baseball terminology, the Mets are the Dodgers' cousins par excellence. A batter's cousin is a pitcher he finds easy to hit. A pitcher's cousin is a batter he always gets out. So up and down the line, the Mets are cousins to the Dodgers collectively as well as individually. I mean, that, says, and then he says, the Mets aren't merely cousins, they're first cousins. Because the Dodgers owned them in the 60s, since 1962. In a couple of years, the Dodgers won 41 games and the Mets won 5.
Yeah.
In their series playing each other. So the slogan, they used to have a slogan, "We can't lose today." And it was Mr. Met with an umbrella, because if it rained, the game would be rained out, so they couldn't lose. So I remember all these things. My mom helped us make a banner for Banner Day. Mets had Banner Day every year. They'd let the fans out and you could win a prize for the best banner. And my mom would make the banner, and me and Phil and Mitch would go on the field. And we just, me being on the field was like the thrill of, I was a Mitch, I was really a Mets fan. And I just remember, and they brought it back a few years ago, but it didn't quite stick. So it was pretty cool. And I don't know. So, but baseball today, as you said, is a business, and I feel like we're part of baseball. At least I am, in more than one way. When the Tokens sang the national anthem at all 30 stadiums.
Yeah, that was something.
That's a record. That's a Guinness record. No other group has done that. They're in the Guinness, records for it again. And it was quite a summer of, I sang at about 20 games, because I was one of the voices. It was an a cappella version, which was great. So definitely never forget that experience, and I will always cherish being able to go and bringing my son. And I remember meeting, we were at the Rangers, the Texas Rangers, and Randy Johnson was on the team. He's like this power, this 6'7" lanky guy who pitched. He was so intimidating, and he took the time to talk to my son, who played Little League. He was a pitcher in Little League. And he took over 20 minutes to talk to him.
Yeah.
My son's sitting there talking to Randy Johnson for 20 minutes. And I said, unless you're a, son or daughter of a baseball player or whatever, and you don't get to do this. This is not, he ran the bases in a lot of fields, including the Astrodome. The umpire gave him the game ball. That was when McGuire and Sosa were going at it that year. And it wasn't, they didn't really talk about the steroids that they were on when they were hitting these home runs. Right. But I saw, let's see, Sosa hit 41 and McGuire hit 42 at two different parks. And everyone had their camera up for every at bat. And all of a sudden the flashes went off.
Right.
When you couldn't, I was like blinded by the flashers in the stadiums. One was the Astrodome, and one was in the Midwest. I don't know if it was, one was in St. Louis, and one was the Astrodome. McGuire hit it in front of the hometown. It was the St. Louis Cardinals, and it was just crazy. So baseball is pretty much in my blood, and my son is a major baseball fan, and he played baseball. I know your kids did. Did you coach it? I mean, how did you find Little League?
Oh, well, I was always I was never the coach, because, I was
Right.
father late in life. So when they started playing baseball, I was in my early 60s. So I
Mhm.
wasn't, spry to go running around the bases and play with them. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I think I told you the story. I discovered that as you get older, your arms get shorter.
Shorter.
And why? Is because someone would throw me a ground ball, I'd bend down to get it, and it would go under my glove. And this never happened when I was younger.
Is that because of that you weren't bending as low?
No, right. Of course, I didn't think about that, because I'm still, Macho Malcolm.
You are still Macho Malcolm, by the way. It hasn't gone away, Macho
Oh,
Malcolm.
okay.
So
But
you
that's
definitely
as a friend of mine would say, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
are, yeah.
Their arms get shorter. But no, what I would do, since I was in sales and marketing, I would always be I would try to get the advertising for the Little League.
Right.
Always, we had 4 baseball fields, Little League baseball fields.
Mhm.
And they all had signage all around them, and I'd sell the signage. So I was on the board of directors.
Wow. Well, one year my husband somehow wound up being the head of the league for the 10 and unders or something. I don't know. It was a thankless job, to say the least. And putting the teams together and putting the kids together, the parents would call, I want my kid on this team. I want my kid on that team. He has to get more play time. It was, he was putting together, we went skiing in February that year. He brought his whole book, his folder, and he was staying in the ski house, and down, he didn't even ski. He was doing he was starting to do the lineups and the team stuff to which kids are on what team. It was nuts. I think he may have went skiing down 2 runs and that was it. And it was just, it was absurd. And then one time the umpire didn't show up for one of the games on my son's team, and I umped a game. I actually umped a game in Little League one time.
And that's a highlight of your life.
Oh yeah, it was more like parents like, well, that was a strike. Whatever. I mean, he was out at first. I'm like, I couldn't say the F word because I felt like telling them to go themselves. I said, you want to do this? I said, you want to do, I'm doing this because no one else volunteered. And I'm pretty good with balls and strikes. They knew I was, kind of a baseball nut. So it was an experience I wouldn't want to repeat, to tell you the truth. I just wouldn't want to do it again.
Well, I found out that after with my boys, I have, they say 2 boys and they're a year and a half apart.
Right.
Right after Little League came the AYSO, American Youth Soccer.
Right.
And they played soccer. Soccer became passionate, especially when they got older.
Mm-hmm.
When they were like 14, 15 and they were doing soccer, that guy, I mean, the parents sort of became uncontrollable. I mean, there were times that there were almost fist fights with the
Oh yeah,
the refs, because the refs were not professional, but they did get paid. They weren't parents.
right. Yeah. We had a lot of the refs in the games were refs that were paid.
Yeah,
The ref in this
Little League
game, in this
also.
particular game, the ref didn't show up and they didn't send anyone. So I don't even know if we counted that game. I wasn't sure, because at that point it was like we just wanted the kids to play, at least be able to have a game of some sort.
Yeah,
So
we've been in situations like that before, where one of the parents or one of the other coaches who was pretty much, people knew who he was, and he was pretty he knew all the rules, so to speak.
Right. Well, I mean, I knew the rules. I knew, we had other parents on first and second, on first baseline and the third baseline, but it was nuts. It was nuts. And then, AYSO that we had, Elon was on soccer as well. And he was on the traveling team of both sports.
Yeah.
But, that sometimes there was crossover and, I don't know. He liked playing soccer. He played AYSO in high school till he was like in sophomore year.
It
wasn't for highly competitive. It was like more like, because it was mixed team, so boys and girls were on the team. So it was a good way to get them exercising, get them together. So that was good. But
my younger son Josh played club ball. He was a keeper, goalkeeper.
Oh. Okay.
So I mean, the thing is, well, you're a parent, but here you see, your parent on the sideline, and there's a breakaway.
Right.
The other guy has coming the ball, and he's all alone.
Mm-hmm. For
As a
sure.
goalkeeper, you have to come out to challenge him.
Right.
And as you come out to challenge him, generally there's a clash.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so hard to control yourself when there's that clash.
Right, there's a kid
and the
coming
keeper
at your
goes
kid.
down, and he's not getting up.
Oh, that's not good.
And you have to control yourself not to run out in the field. My baby.
I know. I've had that. Elon was hit at he won a base running contest. They had like an all-star thing at one of the minor league stadiums up in like Putnam, I think, or somewhere. And it was the Renegades, the minor league team for the Tampa Bay, I think. And so they had all the kids, 16 and under, and 8 and under, 10 and under, 12, whatever. And so Elon won he was against a lot of kids, and he was fast as hell. And he won the base running for his division. And then when they were playing, some kid was saying something, they were playing a game, he was holding his glove, and some pitcher dude threw a ball and hit him in his mouth.
Ooh.
And he was bleeding like hell. And we had to rush him to the to the hospital, which was in Westchester, not in Putnam. And he was really pretty messed up. And we had to have like a plastic surgeon come on for his lip. And the plastic surgeon was the Yankees. Andy Pettit was injured on the Yankees and needed a plastic surgeon or something. She was the plastic surgeon for Andy Pettit. What are the odds, right?
Right.
So I mean, luckily he healed pretty quickly, but it's the same thing. Like your kid, right? I'm holding his mouth, for 20 miles in a car and with an ice pack and stuff. And it was like,
Yeah.
not a fun time in River Rock.
I never played organized ball, organized anything.
Mhm.
All my game, baseball. We never played soccer, but baseball,
Right.
basketball, and football were the three main. When we were kids in
Right.
Brooklyn, if you played soccer in Brooklyn in those days, you didn't speak English as a first language, or if you
Right.
spoke English, you spoke with a funny accent.
Right. Well,
It wasn't an
um,
American game.
well, I mean, we're playing it here in America, but by and large, it's called football around the world. We're the only,
FUT.
right, we're the only country that calls it soccer pretty much, I think.
And we're the only
Uh,
country that could have a championship game, and it's not going to be on major TV.
right, right. Doesn't make any sense.
Right, and
I-
there's no stories about it in the paper.
Right. When I was working with Mark Sussman at Air America, and a couple of the interns were working, and one of them was this kid from Manchester, England. And he would find the pubs in the city that would play the games at all hours.
Yeah.
It could be 4 a.m, right? Because they are 5 hours ahead. So one afternoon it was a night game or something, and we all went with him to a pub like in the village. I forgot which pub it was. The Lamb something, Slaughtered Lamb. I don't remember. Anyway, we watched the game and we were drinking beers, and people were roaming in. They were all, British European, having a beer and watching the game. No Americans in there except
Yeah.
me and a couple of other guys. It was like they didn't care, They want to see.
That's a very minor sport. Now they have they're having it's more getting more acknowledged now because we have a great women's team.
Yes, we have a world championship
Right.
women's team and Olympic women's team. Yeah, I mean,
And the men's team, well, they qualified this year, which is going to be in Qatar.
who qualified?
The U.S. men qualified for the World Cup. It's going to be November.
They did qualify?
Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah,
thought,
for the World Cup, and it's in Qatar, which is only like about 110 degrees in the shade.
is it a dome? Or
I
is
don't
it,
know.
because I don't know how they can play that there in the desert in the summer or whatever.
Well, originally it was supposed to be in the summer, I think in June or July, and they said they had that changed to November.
Yeah, because you're gonna get
Right.
people, they're gonna just fall like flies. You can't
Right.
do that. That's not a good situation where players
Yeah,
can.
as I say, that
have
that,
heat.
that ain't good. But
No,
soccer, I always thought soccer, I first discovered the game with my kids.
right. Well,
And that is a great game. I would have
Well, I-
loved I'd love to play it if I had known about it when I was a kid.
right. Well, the thing is, we played dodgeball, right? Use the
Dodgeball
ball
is
and
a bit different.
it's a lot different. Ted Lasso, I think, has brought some attention to the game a little more too. I love that show.
I don't
And,
get it. I don't get that channel.
You don't, oh, it's too bad because you, being a soccer fan, would love the show and love the interplay of the characters, and it's well done. It's written well, and it's
Yeah.
it has.
One day I'm gonna get that station, for like a month try and binge watch,
Yeah,
5 years.
right. Binge. Well, they only had 2 seasons, so it wouldn't even
I
be
think
that long.
they had more than 2 seasons.
No, they're doing a third now.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if Jason Sudeikis is gonna keep that going. There's rumors there's just 1 season left. I'd be sad. I would miss that show.
Yeah, I mean, they
So-
give me so many accolades, but I guess, an actor gets tired.
You know,
doing the same
please
role.
get tired of 3 years doing an incredible show. I mean, Jason, I think you have a couple of more seasons in you.
Well, they get 2, 3 years of tired of having the same wife.
You know, well,
Job is.
why? It's not like you're working at a factory putting little widgets in for
Yeah, but
40
don't ask me.
years.
Again, just a little off the topic. I don't know why anyone would divorce Haley Berry
You know, who divorced Haley Berry?
or cheat on her.
Who?
Lenny Kravitz, I think it was.
No,
Are you familiar with Lenny Kravitz?
I am, but I don't think that was his wife. I think it was someone else.
Well, check it up on the.
I don't know. I thought it was,
Or whatever one of Bill Cosby's daughters.
uh, I don't know. I thought Lisa Bonet, was it Lisa
Yeah,
Bonet?
maybe. Let's see. I'll go.
It's Lisa Bonet, I
Bonet?
think was Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
Lenny
Not
Kravitz.
Hallie. Yeah. His wife.
Who divorced
I
Lenny
don't,
Kravitz?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think did he remarry? Lisa Bonet
Lisa Bonet?
is listed as his wife.
No,
That's
there's
his first. Was that his first wife?
yeah, I think
Lisa
so.
Bonet, who was married from 87 to 1993 to Lisa Bonet.
Okay.
I don't know.
Divorced Haley Berry.
He's married. Halle Berry was.
Oh, Haley
Yeah.
Berry has been divorced twice before. First from baseball player David Justice, whom she married, and then from singer Eric Bonet.
Oh. Interesting.
But anyway, with all these,
Anywho,
we have to divorce for today. Our
do
time-
we? Ooh, I didn't. We went quick. All
Yeah.
right.
And you were
Well-
worried that we wouldn't have anything to talk about now that we don't have the red.
I'm not worried. I'm just pretty bashed up. Looks like someone threw me down
Oh, yeah,
cliff-
we
a
didn't even
cliff
get
like
to
your
that.
friend. It's all right. No worries.
I'm happy to see you living with a doctor.
Yeah, well, again, he came in and wrapped my leg, and it's gonna hurt for days. Oh well.
Anyway, if it feels, but take 2 aspirins and give me a call.
I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna take a couple of Tylenol.
I want to speak to you tomorrow anyway, because we got the other show.
Yeah,
Many
we
Shades
got
of
the
Green.
other, we got the Many Shades of Green with the Citizens Climate Lobby.
Citizens
on.
in the lobby.
Citizens Climate Lobby. Get those people to move their butts about the climate.
Do whatever.
All right.
Anyway, you get them to do it, let me know.
I will.
To celebrate.
We'll chat tomorrow.
Peace be with you, my child.
All right,
Feel
Tushes will be back next week with
You got it,
with the other Tush. Okay.
And have Les take good care of you and pamper you.
He always does. All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Take care. Bye.